Hi there, this is Noah with the ERSFEC Training Department. This is going to be a tutorial about placing and managing orders and payments through both the front end or live website, the back end or control panel, and the point of sale system. Let's get started with the front end. And as we're going through this ordering process, keep in mind that this is the front end or live website, so it is the same ordering process that your customers will experience. So I encourage you to keep some notes and think about the parts of this process that you like and what you might want to change. And when you're ready to fine-tune your ordering process, feel free to consult the Advanced Order Settings video here in the Scheduling tab. Here we have what we call a suggested add-on for upselling. And here we have a required add-on, which enables you to get additional information that you need in order to complete the order. Now this page is what we call the cart screen, and it is possible to have a cart step, which would require your customers to enter information in order to proceed to this next screen, which is the customer info page. Now on this page, we can change what billing and contact info fields appear and which ones are required. And the checkboxes, drop-down menus, and open-ended text fields that show up under waivers and additional information are all customizable by you under Admin Order Config. And again, we'll cover that in our Advanced Order Settings video, so just take some notes about what you'd like to appear there, and consult that video whenever you're ready to fine-tune your order settings. Now on this, the payment screen, alternate payment type or submit without payment are enabled as payment types for your live website by default so that you can place test orders like this. When you're ready to fine-tune your order settings, one of the adjustments it's wise to make is to disable alternate payment type or submit without payment as an option on your front-end live website for your customers, as you don't want your customers to be able to book without paying. So that and other payment-related settings will be part of the Advanced Order Settings video. Now this is what we call the thank you page, and you can edit what displays on this page. Once again, we'll cover that in more detail in our Advanced Order Settings video. So now that we've completed that order, let's click back into the back end and click into the date of that order so we can see it in the scheduling area. Alright, so there it is, everything looks good. Let's go ahead and place an order through the back end or control panel now. This is the process that your managers and administrators, if they're logged into the full back end of the system, would go through if they're taking a phone order. We can also place phone orders through the point of sale, and we'll cover that later in the video. So to place an order through the back end, let's go ahead and click here on Book. Now if you've already applied and been approved for your ERSPay account, you can enable the ability to use the single page checkout. It's a way to place orders quickly through the back end. Now you have to enable the ability to use single page checkout through a setting, and once again we'll cover that in our Advanced Order Settings video. For now, let's create this order using the classic shopping cart interface. Now as we go through this process of placing an order through the back end, you'll notice that it's actually fairly similar to what the customers experience on the front end. You just have more functionality and capabilities than your customers do. Now on the cart screen, we can click on the cost to the left of the quantity field to update the price, apply a discount, add notes, or if we have multiple items in the cart, reorder them with move up and move down. If I'm going to update the price of an item for a customer, I usually like to use the discount field rather than update the cost. Because if we apply a discount, the system is going to add a note letting the customer know what the base cost was and that we gave them a discount. Now we can also click into the cost to the right of the quantity field to get an idea of how the system is calculating the cost of a given item. This information mostly comes from admin rules, price rule sets. Price rule sets, schedule profiles, and availability rule sets are the plumbing, so to speak, that the ERS system uses to manage your inventory and pricing. They can get a bit technical, so we always recommend you work with the tech support department anytime you're making changes to those. But if you're having questions about why the system is pricing an item a certain way, clicking into this area can give you a clue. Now from the cart or customer info page, we can click into this little green icon to create a quick quote. All that's required for a quick quote is the first name and email of the customer. This allows us to get that quote together for the customer really quickly and send it with just a few clicks. One thing to keep in mind about quick quotes and any type of quote with the ERS system is that a quote does not reserve the inventory. So make sure your customer understands that when you send them a quote, they're not yet making a purchase. If they'd like to reserve their party room or whatever it is that you've quoted them, they're going to have to pay a deposit or pay the order in full according to your settings. And by the way, once again, your deposit rules are very flexible, and we'll cover those in more detail in the Advanced Order Settings video. All of our quote documents have a link that the customer can click on to pay the minimum required and turn it into a confirmed order. Now we can also click here to make a quick order. As we can see, the quick order brings up all of our inventory in drop-down menus with all of the items that we've already added to the cart and their quantity already selected. So we can quickly browse through all of our items, choose how many to add to the cart, and use this button to add everything to the cart at once. Now, one of the things that's available to you on the back end that's not available to your customers on the front end is on this customer info screen, there's a customer search, which enables you to quickly fill out information for repeat customers. You can also add internal notes, apply a discount, override any deposit requirements, override taxes, and add miscellaneous fees. Now on this payment screen here in the back end, you're going to have more payment type options than your customers do on the front end. You can also send a quote from this screen. Remember, a quote does not reserve the inventory, it's not a finalized order. So if you want to reserve the order for a customer without paying, don't click on send a quote, but rather use alternate payment type or submit without payment. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this order paid with a check, and I'm going to go ahead and submit without a receipt. The reason for that is that this is a test order and not a real one, so I don't need the customer or myself to receive notification that we've received an order. There might be other situations where a customer calls to update a billing address or something minor like that. So in situations like that, you would also want to submit without a receipt, just so you don't spam your customer with a bunch of unnecessary paperwork. But of course, if a customer made a payment or something like that that was more significant and you'd like them to have a record of that, then you can submit and send a receipt. Alright, now that order is complete, let's go ahead and place an order through the Point of Sale Register app. So I've got the app open, and the Point of Sale app is mostly pretty self-explanatory. You just click on the item or category that you'd like to add to the cart, and add as many or as few as the customer wants. Once you've gotten everything in the shopping cart, you just click here to pay, and if you'd like to add guests to the order, you just click here. If we see a green duck next to the guest name, that means that guest is actually a minor. If we see a symbol and or a number next to the guest name, that means that customer has that kind of point. Points are a very powerful part of the ERS system that enable you to do things like loyalty and membership programs, one-time coupons, class and activity series, and that sort of thing. In this case, Cecilia Smith has 10 open jump credits. So if I click here to add these two guests to the order, they're going to wind up getting 10 jump credits as well. Now the document symbol next to both of their names tells me that the customers have not yet signed their waivers. In a real-life situation, typically most of your customers who come up to your point of sale desk will already have signed their waivers using our customer-facing waiver station when they first walked in the door. So more often than not, they'll be the top names on that list, and instead of seeing this little document next to their name, you'll see an S that tells you that they've signed. But if for whatever reason a customer's name comes up in this list with the document next to them that tells you that they haven't signed, then you can have them sign by either swiveling or flipping the iPad in their direction, if you have that kind of a setup, or you can send them back to the waiver station and have them come back once they've signed. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and flip the iPad in their direction and have them sign. Alright, now that they've both signed, I'm going to go ahead and check them in by clicking here. And that tells me they're physically present at the facility. And now that we're finished with that, I'm going to click out of that window, and we can use the various buttons over here to make adjustments to the order if we like. And once we're ready to have the customer pay, we click on one of the payment types to have them do that. And then the receipt prints and we're good to go. For time-based transactions where the customer has to choose a date and or time, you just click into the item and ask the customer which time slot they'd like. And from there the process is the same. So the ERS system is completely unified. Every transaction is in the system regardless of whether it came through the point of sale, the front end, or the back end. In a few moments here, as soon as this order is complete, we're going to go ahead and cancel all of these orders, but it's important that we reverse the payments first, so we don't wind up with issues with our accounting. Alright, now that those transactions are complete, let's go ahead and click into the back end to cancel the payments and orders. Now, as already mentioned, it's important for us to reverse any payments that we've made on these orders before we cancel the orders so that our accounting and reporting remain accurate. And any adjustment that you'd like to make to either an order or a quote is made by clicking on the cart, the customer info link, or the payment link. In this case, since we're going to reverse the payment for order number 7780, we're going to click on the payment link. So if this were a credit card transaction, we would click on this link right here to void or refund the payment. Transactions will batch every evening, so if the transaction hasn't batched yet, you can void it, and you'll avoid paying the credit card fee for the transaction if you do that. However, if the transaction has already batched, clicking on this link will only give you the option to refund the payment. In the case of refunds, you will still be liable for the initial transaction fee, but you won't have to pay a fee for the refund itself. In any case, since this was not a credit card transaction, we're not going to use this area. Instead, we're going to click into Select Payment Type. And we need to select the same payment type that we used to make the transaction, again, to keep our reporting accurate. Check number doesn't really matter in this case, but I find it helpful for my reporting and accounting to enter in a 000 for all test transactions that I'm marking paid or unpaid with check. We're going to pay a custom amount, and that custom amount is going to be the reverse of the amount that's been paid. So in this case, -$50 on the check and -$10 on the tip. Alright, so now that we've reversed that payment, let's go ahead and click back into the Scheduling tab and reverse the payments on the 2 transactions we made through the point of sale. So if we click back into the calendar view, we can see that the transactions are organized by the date of the event. And that's because we're in active view, which means we're looking at active events by event date. Now, by the way, sales transactions, meaning transactions that don't require the customer to choose a time slot at checkout, always show up on the calendar by the date of the order. So for example, the last transaction we did through the point of sale was a couple of jump passes. And since those don't require the customer to choose a time slot when they buy the passes, they can just redeem them whenever they're ready to, they'll show up on the calendar on the date that we sold them the passes. However, if we click on Active, we can reorder our transactions according to other criteria. So right now we're looking at active, meaning active events. If we click on Active Created, it's going to reorder the events according to the date of the transaction, not the date of the event. Incomplete refers to orders that started but never finished, and Sent Quotes and Sent Created are the quotes that you've sent your customers, again, either organized by the date of the event or the date that the quote was created. And Canceled shows you all your canceled transactions organized by event date. So let's reorganize according to the date that our orders were created. So before we reverse the payments on those 2 point of sale transactions, I'm going to add some internal notes here, just like we did with the other 2 orders to let us know that this is a test order. And just like with the other 2 transactions, I'm going to click on the payment link. Whoops, clicked on the wrong link. That's okay, we can get to the payment screen by clicking here. So same process here, we're just going to go ahead and click into Select Payment Type, select the same payment type and reverse it, and submit without a receipt. And one more time, same process again. So that's it for order and payment placement and payment management. Our last step is to actually cancel the orders themselves. And we'll do that in just a moment here, but first I want to show you the order logs. Yes, our programmers are hilarious. That little picture of 3 logs is the order logs. So if we click into it, we can see the transaction history. So let's go ahead and cancel the transactions, and we're going to do that by clicking on this little gear right here. So the internal notes are going to populate to the cancellation notes automatically. So all we need to do is cancel without a rain check. This is very important. If we cancel with a rain check, that's going to credit this customer with the amount of that transaction. So that would screw up our accounting and reporting because the system would think that that customer has a $295.45 credit. For real life situations where you are going to give the customer a rain check, you would click on Rain Check Yes, and you would likely also have dealt with the order payment in a different way. To learn more about how to cancel an order with a rain check and how to properly redeem the rain check when it's time to do that, I encourage you to watch the rain checks video, which you can find in the knowledge base. In fact, I strongly encourage you to watch that video and/or read the knowledge base article on rain checks before you issue a rain check and/or redeem one. Once again, it's a matter of keeping your accounting and reporting accurate. Alright, so I'm going to cancel the event, and I'm going to go ahead and follow the same process to cancel this order as well. Now for this order, I'm going to have to put in cancellation notes because we placed this order on the website where the internal notes field is not available. Now for this order, let's experiment with a different view. I'm going to go with Summary of Events. And in Summary of Events, you have to click down there to get the details of the order, and there's no gear, but rather this little switch that you have to click on. Other than that, the interface for cancellation is the same. Alright, so that about does it for this tutorial. I hope this was helpful. Remember, anytime you're working in the system and you have questions, the knowledge base is your good friend. And you can also access the knowledge base by clicking here. And of course, the tech support department is always happy to help as well. You can reach them at 505-435-9731, extension 102, or support@eventrentalsystems.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.